What's going on, guys? Today we're on the Olympus channel with...
No Greene.
And what'd you do last weekend, my man?
I got 7th at the Georgia Regional. 7-0 and 2 draws.
And what were you playing?
Rescue Ace.
All right, let's get into the deck profile.
3 Hydrant, 3 Lifter, those are your starters, 3 Impulse. This is actually the best card in the deck. I see people who cut it to 1. Those people are smoking crack. If it was at 5, I would complain that I couldn't play 6. Yeah, this card, like, single-handedly, I think, gives this deck a really good Pearly matchup. I also, spoilers, I don't play Fire Attacker, I only play Fire Engine. The only matchup where Fire Attacker is, like, good is Pearly because it's easy to trigger. But in reality, what you do with Impulse when you play against Pearly, when you go second, is you sit on this until they activate the effect to rank up, as long as they're not ranking up into Beauty. And so you chain Impulse, and then you summon Fire Engine. Fire Engine will trigger because they just ranked up into presumably Little Noir, and then you use special Airlifter from deck. Airlifter adds Emergency, and then in your draw phase you can activate Emergency, and because of that they are forced to chain their trap then, or else you summon Preventer, and then you're able to chain to leap during the standby phase, and they can't rank up into Big Noir. But even if they do chain the trap to get to Big Noir, then you can, still special Preventer, right? And then Fire Engine will trigger, and then you can activate Preventer to put it face down, and then they'll have to use all their spins, and then you can summon Hydra from deck, and then just start playing on your turn. So it, like, outs the Pearly board and gives you Engine to start your turn. It's just crazy. Yeah, so Impulse just gives you such a head start. And if you draw Impulse with Preventer, then when your Fire Engine summons Lifter, then you can tribute your Lifter to summon the Preventer from hand, and then you have a Book 'em In on their first turn, which doesn't come up like that much, but it, like, probably at least once or twice a tournament. So yeah, 3 Impulse and then 1 Fire Engine. And then I played 2 Preventer. I kind of wish you could play 3, but I think it would just be brick. Yeah, deck kind of has a hard time putting cards in the graveyard, which is another reason why I think Impulse is good. 2 Turbulence. I don't know how you got there. That's the monsters, and then for the spells you play 3 Emergency, which is crazy, another starter. Alerts, Rescue, and I played the Field Spell. I was kind of iffy about the Field Spell. I didn't really want to play it, but I was scared to enter a tournament without it. But what I actually found was that HQ has a hidden ability, which is that you spend the first 20-25 minutes of every match explaining what all your cards do, which means that game 1 tends to take a long time. And when you activate this card in game 1 and then shuffle back your stuff and then resolve a second Turbulence, people will scoop. And I don't think this deck is great going into time because you don't have any ways to burn, and it's kind of hard to do damage on your first turn.
I do have a question. How many of the rounds, if you can remember, did you actually go into time, or was there any that you actually went into time on?
I think 4. I think 4 of my 9 matches I won in time. I think ironically the 2 matches I won in time played a big part, and then the 2 matches that I lost in time, if there's like a minute left, I don't think any of those games would have been close. Which, like I said, I think this deck has a hard time doing damage on the first turn. Because really when you play through their board, your end goal is just to force out all their interruptions and then stick a Turbulence and then set 4, and then you can just stop their crackback and then you'll win that way. It's not by killing them on the first turn. So you kind of have to play fast. You don't really want to go to time with this deck. And then I played 3 Prosp, which is the best card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Rhoda, and then I play Contain and Extinguish. And then that's on my engine, and then on my non-engine I play 6 hand traps, so Ash and Imperm. I didn't play Droll. I don't think it's very good. 3 Fenrir. This card is crazy and should also be banned. And then I played 5 books, and I know that 2 Eclipse is cringe, but I didn't want to play more than 40. That was the main deck. I liked it a lot. I know this is super plain. So yeah, on to the extra. Shout out to all of One Direction. The 5. I played Link Rebo, which is the most summoned card by far, because you need to put guys in grave. So it's put your guys in grave. Anima. This card's really good. I don't think I'd ever not play it. People just don't play around it. It's really easy to not play around it if you aren't actively thinking about it. And then even if people do play around it all the time, I think it still warrants a slot because it makes it way easier to kill people on your first turn if you nib them. because you can just clear the token for free, and then you have the 3K buddy from Nib. IP, it's probably going to make the cut next time. I never even dreamed of summoning it. I think I'd probably play Dark instead. Hida, this was actually the best card in my deck because I played 3 Infernobles, which was awesome, by the way. I literally played a firefighting deck and then played 3 fire decks. So, yeah, I was destined to do great things.
Extinguishing the fire.
Yeah. Dude, this card, it's like, oh, it helps you link climb. Dude, when you're taking Renad, it's a plus infinity. Like, you impulse them, get engine, summon your guy, get a card, start your turn by going Hida, then summoning Renad and adding back impulse. It's cool.
Shout out to Hida.
Shout out to Hida. Sunlight Wolf, this card's cool. It lets you add back Preventer so that on their turn you can activate Emergency and like special a guy from deck and then tribute the Preventer from hand and then get back a Hydrant, so that way you can get like an Interrupt and you can make your traps live. And then if you don't need the Hydrant, then you can like get back a Lifter, and then it gives you a bunch of advantage. And then if you Ash them on the first turn and your hand is gassed, then you can get your Ash back. Phoenix and Unicorn and Helio. This deck I think has a really hard time with traps. So I wanted to play as many things as I could to get them off the board. And yeah, Helio came up a lot. I was really surprised at how much it came up, but like Hida into Helio, it's just really easy to do if you get ashed. You just want stuff to force out traps, so then you can go into the access code. You don't want to like Phoenix a trap, and then make access code, and the access code gets stopped by something. You want the access code to resolve. Speaking of, I played Apo. I think this card is really good because of this package, Binary Sources and Jiggle and Crystal Heart. I think most people know about this by now, but this is your way to climb up into Terahertz. But what it also does is it lets you turn your Hydrant into a 1-card Link 4, whether that be Appaloosa or Access Code. So you can, summon an Appaloosa to like insulate your hand from Nibiru if you don't like have emergency. And so if you need to get to your Turbulence with like Hydrant, Preventer, and then your Turbulence in hand, you can't get 2 monsters in grave in less than 5 summons. And I think summoning Apo there is really good. And then playing into boards, just summoning an Apo into stuff is good. And then Terahertz is like your win condition going first. I played both targets. I saw some people are playing this and they weren't playing Aggregator, but I think that's crazy just because Pearly is like the most played deck. And if they activate the field spell, it can actually just blank the 8 cards you have on the field, and just having this descend and then turn the field spell off, I think is good. And while getting to keep this. Yep, that was extra. And then my side is super standard. I played 3 Nibiru, draw. I think siding hand traps is really good in this deck. I think especially when you go first, because people are siding into like evenly matched. And it's good to have interactions that you can keep in hand if you could even lead, so that you don't like get as blown out by that card. Then Harpies into Cosmics, 3 evenly, and 3 D-Bears.
Is there a reason why you played the Cosmics instead of Lightning Storms?
Yeah, just wanted chainable removal. I think being able to chain your Spawn Trap removal to Lady against Labyrinth is really good. Yeah, I mean, just in general, I think quick plays more. Yeah. And also, Impulse is such a core part of your deck. There's a pretty big conflict of interest there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Any other shout-outs or anything like that you want to make?
Yeah, everyone let me use cards. Zach Christian, Robert. Anyone who spreads their peanut butter with a spoon right now, it's me, Ed, and Josh. So that's 3 versus like 7 billion, but I believe there's more of us out there. Yeah, everyone for playing fire decks and let me put them out. That was awesome. Yeah, it was cool to go to a regional, man. This is the first one I've been to in like years. I can't believe this game is still growing, and everyone I met was super nice and I had a good time.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the deck profile, and we'll be catching you guys next time.
Sweet.
Peace.